Grateful. Okay, so again, I said disparate things. Okay, so we're going to start with this poem that is referenced in what we've read in the book so far. But I want to read it to you, and then I want to talk to you about it. So this is the, and I, by the way, I taught this to my ninth graders. It was in the curriculum for my ninth graders at Miller North eons ago, long before your mother even went to Miller North. And I wasn't allowed to teach it the way I teach it now, even though I believe what I am teaching now. So here's the poem. Might make it easier for me to see it. So the blind man and the elephant. It was 6 men of Hindostan, so India, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. The first approached the elephant, and happening to fall against his broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl, God bless me, but the elephant is nothing but a wall. The second, feeling of the tusk, cried, Ho, what have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp, to me is 'tis quite mighty clear. This wonder of an elephant is very like a spear. Did I do that? I did do that. So the third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a snake. The fourth reached out his eager hand and felt about the knee. What most this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain, quoth he. 'Tis clear enough the elephant is very like a tree. The fifth, who chanced to touch the ear, said, Even the blindest man can tell what this resembles most, deny the fact he can. This marvel of an elephant is very like a fan. The sixth no longer had begun about the beast to grope, then seizing on the swinging tail that fell within his scope, I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a rope. And so these men of Indostan disputed loud and long, and each was in each his own opinion, exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right, and all were in the wrong. So how that is taught in a secular, and this is from a secular worldview, with a secular worldview, what it's saying is that there is no such thing as absolute truth. Nobody has the whole truth. No religion is the religion. It's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of what you see. But you can't see the whole correct elephant or anything else. Because in this, what they say is, because in this, it says, each of them were wrong. So nobody got it right. But there was someone who was able to know it was an elephant. Who's that? The poet. The narrator. He knows. So this isn't an apologetic for all the religions have some of the truth. It's an apologetic that there is such a thing as truth. Some people don't know it, but some people do. I get to teach it the right way at Cornerstone. So that's what we're embarking on. Like we are embarking on a search for the truth. What is true and what is truth? And we'll talk about a number of things, but once we determine that somebody created everything that's here, we're going to talk about, okay, so how do we know what's true and who created that and all of those questions and all of those ideas. So the next thing, or disparate thing too, is that we're going to look at the preface of the Big Atheist book and the Little Atheist book. So we'll start with the Big Atheist book. The preface is right in the front. It's on page 13. By the way, you might see that the foreword was written by David Limbaugh. You know that name, Limbaugh? Parents probably do. Rush Limbaugh, his brother, was a believer. I think he's a pastor. He is a pastor. Okay, how much faith do you need to believe this book? Religious skeptics believe that books like this one can't be trusted for objective information because such books are written by religious people who have an agenda. In fact, that's the way skeptics view the Bible. It's a biased book written by biased people. Their assessment may be true for some books about religion, but that's not true for all of them. If it were, you couldn't trust anything you read concerning religion, including books written by atheists or skeptics, because every writer has a viewpoint on religion. So what does this mean to you, the reader? Should you disbelieve what an atheist writes about Christianity just because he's an atheist? Not necessarily, because he could be telling the truth. Should you disbelieve what a Christian writes about atheism just because he's a Christian? Again, not necessarily. He too could be telling the truth. But what about an author's agenda? Does an agenda fatally taint his objectivity? If so, no book is objective, including those by atheists and skeptics. Why? Because all books are written for a reason. All authors have an agenda, and all, or at least most authors, believe what they write. However, that doesn't mean that what they write is false or not objective. All authors while authors are almost never neutral about their topics, personal interest is what drives them. They nevertheless can present their topics objectively. For example, survivors of the Holocaust who wrote of their experiences certainly were not neutral bystanders. They believed passionately that the Nazis were wrong, and they were driven to record their experiences so the world would never forget the Holocaust and hopefully never repeat it. Did their passion or their agenda cause them to bend the facts? Not necessarily. In fact, their passion may have produced the opposite effect. While passion may induce some people to exaggerate, it may drive others to be all the more meticulous and accurate so as not to compromise the credibility of the message they wish to communicate. When I was in 9th and 10th grade, my dad was stationed at NATO in Brussels, Belgium. And probably their closest friends when we lived there was a couple named Hetty and Janko Dijkstra. They were Dutch. He was the Dutch general on the military committee for NATO. And they were just fun and kind and just really a wonderful couple. After we moved back here during my senior year at Bellevue West, they came to visit us here in Bellevue. And I'm not shy, you know that. I went to my principal and said and told him about General and Mrs. Dijkstra because they both were in separate concentration camps in World War II. And I asked the principal if he'd like them to speak to the students in the assembly, and he said, "Yeah, I do." I was good friends with his daughter. That's why I was willing to ask the principal. And they talked about their experience. and it's heartbreaking. Hetty was very young. She was in a concentration camp. I think it was in India, but I'm not even sure. It was somewhere because her parents were the ambassador and his wife to that country. And when the Nazis took over, they put anyone who had any sort of powerful job into concentration camps. I think Janko was fighting for the Dutch army, and um, and I think he was in concentration camp because he got captured. And it was horrific. And it, they had a bias, right, against the Nazis, against Germany, against Hitler, but that doesn't mean they couldn't tell us the true story. And they did. And it was powerful. And such stories are powerful, and they need to be told. As you'll see, we think the authors of the Bible took this meticulous and accurate road. It's also the road we're trying to take in this book. And when you're done reading, we hope that you'll let us know if you think we've actually taken that road. In the meantime, if you're a skeptic, you're not sure about Christianity, please keep in mind that you should believe or disbelieve what we say because of the evidence we present, not because we have a certain set of religious beliefs. We are both Christians, but we were not always Christians. We came to believe through evidence. So the fact that we are Christians is not the issue. Why? Why we are Christians is the important point. And that's the focus of this book. So then there's also a preface in the Little Atheist book. So if you'll take that and open it up. So the book, the Big Atheist book, was written by Norm Geisler and Frank Turek, and then the Little Atheist book was written by Norm Geisler and Jason Jimenez. So it says this: it's no secret that America has become a nation of biblical illiterates, and though things may seem to be getting worse, we believe, however, we can turn the tide by equipping Christians to know and defend the truth. That's why we are excited to offer an official study guide to the classic book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, so that Christians can gather in small groups throughout America, classroom, and beyond to examine the overwhelming evidence that proves Christianity is true. It is our prayer that God will ignite a movement of people hungry to know His truth and become devoted defenders of the Christian faith in a hostile culture. May the book and the companion study guide, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, be helpful resources that will enrich your journey for truth and enhance your defense for the Christian. And that's my prayer every year, that students would, if they aren't followers of Christ, would become followers of Christ. And if they are followers of Christ, that they will grow in their understanding and their love for God and for the truth. So then, we're going to discuss these intro questions. Did we do any of them yesterday?
Yeah, we finished. We finished.
We did all the equip and all the engage.
Oh, we did it. We didn't talk about it.
We didn't talk about it.
Oh, did we discuss it?
No.
Okay, did we discuss it?
Discuss the first ask.
Just the first one. Okay, that's the same as the other class. So I think we're on equip 1, right? Equip 2:1, right? Read the opening story about. No, I'm not going to do that. So the second one. List the 5 existential questions posed in life. What?
Come from where did you go?
Okay, where do we come from? Which is bad grammar, but I'm letting it slide. You don't end a sentence with a preposition. You know that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So that's the question of origin. From where did we come? And then the question of identity. Who are we? And it doesn't. That's not meaning like who are we? I'm Amy Keiser, right? It's who am I existentially? Who am I in terms of the universe and eternity and God and all of that? And then the question of meaning. Why are we here? What's the purpose for us being here? And then there's the question of morality. How should we live? Why is it that everybody, no matter how they behave, believes there's something that's right and some things that are wrong? Why is that? Why is that we all know, especially we don't always know it, and the book is going to teach this based on what we do. But if so you might cut someone off in traffic and say, "Well, I'm in a hurry," or make some sort of excuse for it. But what happens when someone cuts you off?
Wow.
Yeah, and then that's wrong. It may be wrong for me to do to someone else, but it's certainly wrong for them to do that. So everybody knows that. Everybody knows that there is such a thing as right and wrong. So that's interesting, isn't it? So so define. You know what? Nope, I'm gonna do this. Define the worldviews. Define the worldviews below. List the appropriate religions under each one. So, what is theism? What? Yes, it's a belief in a personal God, not a God that is unknowable. It's a belief in a personal God. So, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are the theistic religions. What is pantheism? God is everything. And everything is God. Now, there are different kind of pantheists. Some pantheists think literally everything. I met one time. I won't tell that story now. This is God, and they might believe it's part of God, or it is God. Or collectively it makes God. Some pantheists believe that just only living things. So I am God, you are God. Maybe collectively we make up God. The tree is God. The lake is God. And either all of it is God or altogether it comprises God. It just depends on the flavor of the pantheism. What is atheism? Yeah, there is no God. All that exists is what is material. There is no supernatural. There's nothing outside of what we would call the created order, that they would call the evolved order. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to stop there, and then we'll pick up here tomorrow.